Yeah. And this is, Harold Youngford's father, the burning bush, that's new. And the wedding, that's me. And I think that. Okay, be nice, you know. Yeah. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. Buy some cards today. We'll see. Yeah. We might have to. Huh. Hi. Hi, it's nice to meet you. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. Our sophomore, you're Dara. I'm a teacher from the Zen Center. Oh, yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah. Welcome. Right here. My neighbor, 2 doors down. Definitely affiliated with the Zen Center. Who's that? Her name is Anna. She's from England. Oh, Lindsay. Yes, yeah, she's a long time member. She used to be her staff. I know, I know. But it was funny because I'm like, what is Anna's name? I go, yeah, it's my neighbor. So I have everything in my phone is like, Anna, this one neighbor, this one, I know they're from. So I have our Zoom up. If somebody's coming in a Zoom, did you have a presentation? No, I don't need to. Thank you. I was curious about the set, so if there are people participating on Zoom, where's the camera? So they're not, it's not behind. Yeah, it's see the thing that's an owl. Oh, the owl, we have one of those too, yeah. It's the owl. I know all about the owl. Oh my God. So the best place for me to sit would be like right here, basically. Because then the owl will turn back to you. The owl is fun. I've been on meetings where we've used the owl, and I've been at the office and people are in person. And the owl, you're like watching. Yeah. It's kind of like, okay. It's a little creepy because it turns around and looks at you. And could I stand too? Would that work? Oh, yeah, you can stand. Okay. You can do whatever you want. We do have a microphone, which we don't use. I won't need it. Yeah, and we don't use it on our Wednesday night class. And it's funny because I think we've always had people who've projected. Yeah, I'm a former professor, so which has been interesting with the other ones that the teachers and professors. Yeah. Like, and nobody's ever said we can't hear anything. I think it's more if we have questions. Yeah. But I've learned with the owl. Okay. The owl picks up all noise because that's what it's following. No, this. Okay. Well, and I kept telling Anna that somebody was coming. So yeah, so Anna lives 2 doors down from in the Southwest. Yeah, like Highland Park. Yeah, so we're on Mount Vernon. Put my official uniform on. I'm sure people will ask about this. Yeah. They should. What is that about this today? And then there are babies. If there weren't, I'd be very concerned. Well, that's what I was out of town. I go, somebody who has to come in. Yes, you've got like water. Yeah, waters and toys. Don't ask me. It's all I know. So you have my coat over there, because it's my thing. Friday night we were at the BCC. Yeah, I made it. Oh, they gave me all the names that I didn't know, but I didn't. Well, you know, it's funny. I'm looking there this morning, and I repeated your husband's name, and I said, "Good morning. How are you?" Saying we know you're sure. I'm going, "Oh, I know who there is." You're spelling my real name. Says you're down. I said, "Yeah, I know." But a lot of people around here. Everybody are waiting. I work with it. We know his friends were related. I got used to this. They said I could see like until I saw the. Yeah. I didn't realize all the relatives. Yeah, right, from the Rosenberg.
Yeah.
We've never been back.
We've got the sanctuary. I'm worried.
No, I mean, I looked at your website.
Yep.
Coming here.
Does it have the year that I made it? Let me show you.
I'd love to see it. Yeah.
Huh? We give out to, my cousins and stuff. I don't like looking at this, that's for sure. God. No. There's no year on it. Yeah.
But so you folks are just gonna see the people online.
Right,
They're not looking at
yeah.
themselves.
Right,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
it'll kind of go, it depends on really, if somebody comes online, I can see them.
Yeah.
For sure.
Hi, good morning.
But in general, yes,
Yeah.
people do get to see parts of themselves on,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's why I heard they were shooting.
that is the joy of the island.
Yeah.
I also said to everybody, we have got to get them.
Well, you did a good job. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, Dick Rosin.
That's what
She's a member of the Sunset.
Oh, cool.
If it's the same day.
So that's it, when we did it on the Wednesday night, Rochester spirituality, we had Trish Cochran,
Uh-huh.
indigenous spirituality. Yeah, so many people, she had people coming.
Yeah.
Which was a lot of fun, because
Is that, a good number of Zen practitioners?
What's your here from California?
Yeah. So there you go.
Nothing.
I'm not sure why, but
No. Well,
they can come towards spirituality.
you speak with each other.
Oh, you talk about honest, she's not in California.
Now she's in New
She's in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
And here's her coming back.
So we just had the person over that. And history.
Oh.
She's renting her car, drives it back.
India. So these different languages.
Okay,
Very different than what we expected, but. Wait, you mean what?
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Reason.
So you never know.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of different things out there. Just
Mhm.
how open are people to
Evan said,
learning something new?
it would take an hour, never to drive the train, is this, and I'm thinking, no. She would. Get the train to Philly and switch to New York and come up for,
Right.
look.
You didn't want that.
Full night.
That's so not. But no snow. Well, not yet. It's gonna continue yet. But probably story, so, but still,
I can watch myself eat.
I know, Mr. Funny, I'm sitting here eating, all of a sudden I look up, there's nobody here but me, I'm going.
You're famous.
I'm good for. Would you like bagel?
no, maybe later, but yeah,
Okay.
thanks. At the Zen Center, we serve bagels every Sunday.
Or that, right?
Yeah. It's part of, we have a little brunch after our own Sunday programming.
Where's Zen Center located?
On Arnold Park, it's a one-way street that runs between Goodman and Park Avenue, and
Mhm.
it's closest to the Goodman East Ave intersection. Yeah.
Oh, do people live there?
Yes.
I don't know.
We're a semi-monastic. We're not a monastery, but we're semi.
Turn the picture on.
Live on site. And we do retreats.
You're still limited time or as long as they want.
It varies. Some people will come for a week or two, some for a few months, some for a lifetime.
Really?
Yeah, we have long-term staff as well. Yeah.
Okay.
And there is my friend Dick.
Oh,
Wow, what are you doing here? Dick is
uh,
a member of the Zen Center.
yeah, I know it. I wanted to, my wife is Jewish, so we wanted to hear your talk.
Awesome.
But I don't know why I'm showing up on the screen there. I don't know what I did.
I think you're supposed to, so everyone else can see that you're here.
Oh, okay. I didn't really dress up for this.
You didn't have to.
Oh, pretty fancy stuff.
Hello, everybody.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah.
Dick is not just a member, he's an active volunteer, and he's done a number of retreats. The longest of which are 7 days in silence, meditating 10 hours a day.
And
Yeah, it's very intense. Dick can tell you all about it. You don't even need me.
It's very intense.
In a good way, right?
Yes, in a very good way. Yes. Sometimes you come out of a retreat and the world looks brand new. I'll put it that way.
New eyes.
New eyes. Yeah.
Separate apartments there. It kind of struck me as different that both live there. So she's the one that found some of the apartment. This one, you know, where. The afternoon for the lobby. Right here, area. And one that is speaking.
Huh?
It's this one.
Morning, Bob.
Morning.
You want to go.
Where's Joyce? I was gonna say that.
Joyce is in a Zoom all weekend Jewish workshop.
Well.
Started early Friday and it goes till this afternoon.
So all I had to do was get the Zoom on. I worked fine. I heard some of the. And Ryan came in just to make sure I was able to do it. It worked out fine. We are a good tech team. We are the tech team. Oh, sure. I'm not sure. Okay. It's never. Not to knock it over.
Dick, look what I brought.
See, what did you bring? Oh, the bell.
Yeah, we might do a sitting.
Yes.
Doesn't look like something that was made in America.
No. This is a very traditional bell that's used to time sittings, so to time meditation rounds. Yeah, I'll show you later. I will demonstrate.
Yes, I just finished one round of sitting an hour.
Did you?
Of course, it ended with the bell.
Yeah, we've got all sorts of instruments.
Oh.
There are wooden drums, these large bowls that are with a striper called a kesu. Instead of praying, we chant. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a form of meditation itself, actually. Yeah.
My wife is here with me, but she doesn't want to be seen on camera. So it's a friendly group.
We're a friendly group, yeah.
She's still in her pajamas.
That's a good thing on Zoom where you could turn your camera off, because I've been on Zoom things early in the morning going in my pajamas.
And nobody knows.
That's right.
That's people that have homes and have pajamas on the bottom. A dress top or and shirts with ties.
I did, but when we had adult ed, during COVID, and we would be on house. We're all.
Right.
Yeah, we're pajamas. I'm sitting in the bed.
We ever since COVID, we have an online programming, including meditation, and I'm sure a lot of people wear their PJs for it.
You know,
Why not?
Yeah, right, for all the complaints about like being on Zoom and all these different things, it has opened up the world.
It has, it has.
I get to see my cousins' husbands plays and things like that. In San Francisco, because I go on.
Yeah.
The Zoom ticket.
Yes.
That wasn't the case. So I'll order, there are some things that I need to. So we have all this space in this garden.
Hi.
Go in.
Yeah, it's Sunday.
It has to be.
It's looking at them there.
So this is part of like interfaith programming?
Yes.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
People from throughout the community. Try to. We have all kinds of programs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was just thinking this actually made me feel so much better. The ability, the decision, I think it's. I said to, there's me and I watched this morning.
Good morning.
I'm 70, because it gives you the immediate last number, so that's yesterday. And then it's 38, that's too big a drop. 70 to 30. So the last reading I had asked for was 70 degrees. I'm here, it's just. My brain was the computer. I said, it's not.
Now it's funny with my wife, who's been like South China, she was riding. It's the weather later, didn't somebody else this year?
Yeah, right.
It's just not funny.
Yep. And we went to do two, right? My
Very nice.
we had horrible weather like this, just horrible weather up until that morning from sun came out.
Good morning.
Side and suddenly we see it across the chicks.
Get started? All right. It's okay if people listen in too, it's fine.
Like I said, I shut the door because I didn't see.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for the invitation to be here. My name is Dhara Khowal. The title I use is Sensei Dhara Khowal. That's one difference from the start between Zen Buddhism and Judeo-Christian religions, which might have, titles like, preacher, minister, rabbi, and so forth. My title, Sensei, means teacher. That's what it translates to in English from Japanese. And the people I work with at the Zen Center are students. So it's a different kind of culture, you could say. As a Zen teacher, I've been teaching for like 3 years now, but I've been practicing Zen Buddhist meditation for over 25 years. And
Excuse me.
yeah, feel free.
I'm not sure, but I think the people online need you talking into the microphone. Is that how it works, Stacy?
Dick, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. I can't hear everybody else too well, but I hear you clearly.
Okay, that's good to know. So maybe we need the mic for when people ask questions.
Oh.
Yeah, the owl here, the owl has a mic in addition to,
Oh.
yeah,
And it follows, the
Yes.
owl follows you,
yes,
so if you move.
yeah.
It'll go with you.
It turns his head like a real owl. It's a little creepy, actually. We have one at the Zen Center, as well. Anyway, I've been practicing for a long time. In my former life, I was a professor at SUNY Brockport. I retired early just before the pandemic. Oh, that was a good decision. That was good timing. And the reason why I retired was I was just so my heart was at the Zen Center, and that's what I wanted to dedicate my life to. So in addition to being a teacher, I'm a priest as well. The Zen Center is semi-monastic. We're not a monastery, but we are semi-monastic. We have a pretty structured schedule of daily meditation and frequently have retreats throughout the year. That's why it was really kind of difficult to schedule this. Yeah, so I stay pretty busy with the Zen Center schedule. Dick is one of our members, by the way. He can attest to that.
Something charming about being super busy at a Zen Center.
Yeah. Wow, speaking of that, there's a term in Zen called noble silence. Noble silence. Now we do silent meditation. We sit still in silence for various lengths of time. I'll say more about how to do that later. But the term noble silence doesn't mean literal silence. It means having a silent mind when you're in the world. So during a typical day, think of all the things you confront, right, that have the potential to throw you off. Just reading the news, okay? As you go about your business, to have, including using speech, to have a still mind, which means to be present, just to be right where you are, be in that moment. Ordinarily, this is what we do. Ordinarily, we're not present. Ordinarily, and you all know this, ordinarily, we're chewing over the past. We're over and over again, maybe ruminating about it. There may be judgments. Oh, I wish I had done this or that. Or we're in the future, planning, plotting, strategizing, right? And we do it. It's like automatic. This is what the human brain is actually designed to do. It secretes thoughts. That's what it does. And as you live your life, you accumulate more of them because you have these experiences. And every time you have a new experience, the brain kind of, makes an adjustment based on it. And we need to have thoughts. We do need to plan ahead. And we also need to reflect back, right? sometimes we need to repent sometimes we regret some of the things we said or did, and it's helpful to look back, right? But it's one thing when that's intentional, right? When you're doing it in an intentional kind of way. It's another thing when it's not relevant to what you're doing, right? So notice the next time you wash your hands. This is something we do every day, many times, right? Where's your mind when you're washing your hands? Is it just washing your hands? Just the pure, direct experience of doing it, the feel of it, the bubbles. Believe it or not, washing your hands can become incredibly joyous and wonderful when you're paying attention to it. The same with all the other mundane activities we do on a day-to-day basis. It's often in those routine activities when our mind goes off in other directions. So you can be, brushing your teeth and planning, what you're gonna have for dinner. Um, um, and that uses up a lot of energy. All that thoughting, sort of automatic thoughting, uses up a lot of energy. So we can, Zen Buddhism aside, it's a religion, it's a faith tradition, it's a spiritual practice. But if you just set that down for a moment, we can all appreciate this idea of quieting the mind and making that part of your life, making it a practice. I'll get more into that later. I've already said in the beginning about how, unlike in other religions, in Zen, I'm a teacher as a spiritual leader. I'm a teacher. I'm not a preacher, a reverend, so on. So there's some terminology difference. But here's the other thing. In any interfaith program, Zen is often the outlier because there's no God concept. There's no God in Zen. There's no being that we worship. Okay. There is a historical figure. There are a number of them. There are ancestors. Probably the most famous one is Siddhartha Gautama. Maybe you've heard about him. I'll talk about him maybe a little later as well, but he's not somebody we worship. He's the founder, of Zen, essentially. You've all seen Buddha figures, probably. If you have never been to a Zen center or community, you've seen them in a museum. Sometimes you see them in Chinese restaurants. They take different forms. But the traditional figure is an image of the historical Buddha. And he's sitting cross-legged, very composed, relaxed. Just look at the face, and you see in the eyes and the face this gentleness, compassion. And the Buddha figures vary. There's, sometimes the hand is out, sometimes the hand's touching the ground. There's all this iconography to Buddhist figures. But I want to say that they're not something that we worship. We do have an altar at the Rochester Zen Center that has a figure on it, and we have candles. We put fruit and flowers on the altar, but it's not an object of worship. So this is very, very, very different, actually. If anything, like the ultimate symbol of Zen is not a figure, not a Buddha figure, but actually this right here, a circle, a simple circle. This is what I'm wearing here. This is called a raksu. It's kind of like a bib. comes in handy in the winter, keeps your hand warm when you're, when you're meditating. But it has, also has symbolic meaning. If you look closely at it, it has, it's like a patchwork of fabric. I don't know if you can all see that. Yeah. And it's basically like wearing one's commitment, wearing one's faith. Perhaps similar to in the Jewish tradition, wearing a yarmulke, or some other accoutrement. Not all religions have that, but yeah, in Zen we do. I don't wear this around in public. By the way, I don't wear this to Wegmans. But I do wear it when I'm giving a talk and when I'm leading a workshop, and also when I have retreats and do formal sittings. And the history behind it is that in between the 5th and 10th century in China, Buddhist monks were persecuted. They were driven out of their temples, and they were monks, they were monastics, and they took a monk's vow. This was their life, right? And to be driven out of their temple was incredibly traumatic. And so to keep their vow and wear their vow, because they could not wear their robes, then they would be identifiable as monks and would be harassed and worse. Okay. So they came up with, out of bits of discarded fabric. Theirs didn't look as nice as mine. It was pretty rough looking. But they sewed this and they put it underneath their clothes. And it was a way of, a meaningful personal expression of their commitment. And this circle, yeah, that holds it together. This is actually the ultimate symbol of Zen. And that's because what the Buddha taught and what he came to realize directly is that we're not separate. That we're each one of us is not only whole and complete, just as we are, with all our quirks and foibles and imperfections. We're perfect. And not only that, we're a whole. Some of the terms that are used in Zen Buddhism are for this are interbeing or interdependence. We're deeply connected to one another, despite all our differences. Beyond all the differences, there's nothing wrong with differences, but beyond that, we're the same. We're a whole. And we're so interconnected. It's hard to imagine, and it's hard to explain in words. If I were to try to, well, one thing I could say is, the bagel on your plate, imagine all the beings that were involved in making that bagel happen and making it land on your plate. All the things that had to be working together as a family. There had to be someone planting wheat. There had to be sun. There had to be rain. There had to be farmers and trucks and grocery stores and all these different things and people to cook them and make them. So we can see it in that way, that as how deeply connected we are. But in the end, what the Buddha taught is that it's an experience. It's not a concept. Oneness is not a concept, it's an experience. And until you realize it for yourself, you're not really going to understand it. Here's an example of that. If I were to describe to you in words what the most perfectly ripe strawberry tasted like, Have you ever had one? Well, if I were to describe that in words, would that capture it? No, it wouldn't. That's why Zen is called the school of direct experience. There are actually many branches of Buddhism. You may have heard of Tibetan Buddhism, right? And the devotionals, the way it looks is different. In Tibetan Buddhism, it's very colorful. If you've ever seen Tibetan practice space. Zen is more simplified. It has a Japanese aesthetic to it. And by the way, Buddhism traveled through the world, right? It started in India, went to China, Japan, Vietnam, Korea, etc., made its way west, and including the United States. And the Rochester Zen Center is the second oldest Zen center in the United States, in North America, actually, I should say. It's quite, yeah, a lot of people don't realize that. It's quite a gem. Second oldest and one of the largest in North America. Yeah, so back to this direct experience, which the historical Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, experienced. Let me tell you a little bit about him. He was born a prince, lived a very privileged life, grew up in a palace, had everything he could possibly need or want given to him, you know. And one day he left the palace and went out into the village, apparently for the first time. Like he lived literally a very sheltered life behind walls, right? And he came upon four sights, came upon four things that really rattled him to the core. One, he saw an old person. He'd never seen an old person before, you know, probably with somebody walking with a cane. Wow. And he saw also someone who was very ill, coughing, maybe in pain. Someone who was sick. Never seen that before either. And then, to top it all off, he saw a dead person. A dead man, and there was a funeral pyre that was being prepared for him. He didn't know a thing about impermanence, Siddhartha, up until this point. Or maybe he knew about it intellectually, and it wasn't until, you know, he happened to come upon this at this age in life. He was in his 20s, that a shift happened. He came upon a fourth sight, and that was a monk begging for alms. And he ended up leaving the palace, leaving his family, and taking up what is called asceticism as a practice, which is basically resorting to very extreme measures in a spiritual kind of way, like going without food, going without sleep, doing yoga poses and staying in them for incredibly long periods of time, subjecting oneself to pain, to suffering, in an attempt to see beyond it. And not, you know, it just left him feeling weak and exhausted. And this was a movement. There were a lot of people doing this at the time. And then one day, you know, he was sitting beneath a tree and basically near death. He was so weak. And a woman was walking by and she offered him, she saw, how weak he was, and she offered him some kheer, which is basically like rice pudding. Um, and, as an ascetic, normally he would turn that down, right? Um, but instead he ate it gratefully, and it gave him new energy. And he persisted in sitting in this meditative pose in the lotus position, one leg on top of the other, which I can't do. By the way, most people can. And that's when he had his great awakening. Now that word awakening, enlightenment, what is that? I it's the kind of thing where if you talk about it, you tack a word onto it, you make it into an object, when it's really an experience. And you got to find out for yourself. And the way you do that is to do meditation practice. But it's the experience of realizing for yourself that there's nothing outside. There's no inside either. There's just this one whole, and that goes back to this symbol here. And in accepting that food, also the Buddha came to realize what's called the middle way. The middle way in between denial, right? Self-denial, mortification, right? That's all all those extreme measures he was taking. And on the opposite end, indulgence, self-indulgence, ego, ego delusion, self-gain. So the middle way in between those two extremes. And that's what meditation practice as a method of waking up to who we are fundamentally, waking up to our true self, which is actually no self, because there's just this one. Meditation is a way of being in the world that's manifested in that middle way. So that means not giving into the things that you're attached to, all your cravings and desires, but also not rejecting it, right? Not moderation, not rejecting it either. Because either way, right, if you chase after the things you want, right, it's all me, 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 me. Or if you reject that, that's also me, 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 me in a way. Both are clinging. Both are forms of clinging. So the middle way is fluid. It's in constant motion. That loops back to impermanence, is, the Buddha's, realization about impermanence. He saw the sick person, the old person, the dead person, and he realized that's me. That's me. Someday I'm going to get old. Someday I'm going to get sick. Someday I'm going to die. In Zen Buddhism, there's a real awareness that there's no fixed self, that everything's in motion, everything and everyone is impermanent. Even, we can turn to physics, right? A physicist would tell you this is energy. This is pure energy. It looks solid, it looks static and fixed, but it's really not. It's pure pure energy, and that's what we are. So when we die, what happens? In Buddhism, there tends to be two stories about that. One is reincarnation, and the other is rebirth. Reincarnation is not something that Zen Buddhism ascribes to, but I think it's something that's held in Tibetan Buddhism. And that's this idea that you move from one substance to another. So this life, and then you're born somebody else, or maybe you're born a dog or cat, I don't know, another being, right? But in Zen, we believe in rebirth. Now, let me just say the caveat here is I haven't died yet, so this is all conceptual for me. I haven't been there yet. But what we believe is that when the body passes away, it's energy, and that energy continues. It continues. The only way I can describe it, like intellectually, is keep in mind that our bodies are about, like, I don't know, 75% water. That's pure energy, water. Here's the other thing. Our bodies contain on the inside and outside trillions of microbes, bacteria. We call it my body. We say this is me. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe it belongs to all those bacteria. But what happens with all of that when we die? It goes somewhere. The bacteria live on. Some of them do, at least. The water goes somewhere. So again, this idea that everything's in motion. So I'm not the same Dhara I was a minute ago. I'm this one right here, now. And now it's gone. So radical presence. Now, let me loop back to what I was saying in the beginning about how we tend to be all up here, caught up in thoughts. When the mind settles, we have a chance. We have a shot at really experiencing our life. Not in our head, not through the filter of thoughts, but actually how we're living it. This, right now, just as it is. And so whereas, there are these ideas about enlightenment as going to having some special blissful experience. That's how it's represented in popular culture, It's actually very ordinary. It's this. It's right now. And so, contrary to what you see in advertising, have you ever seen the word Zen used in advertising? Like Zen perfume, Zen shampoo, Zen wine, Zen cereal, Zen garden fertilizer, even. There's a Zen diet, eat more, weigh less. Who wouldn't want that? There's even Zen digestive enzymes that you can buy. Which, by the way, that has some truth to it, because meditation activates the vagus nerve, which does regulate digestion. So, yeah. But that's another interesting thing about Zen Buddhism, right? Which distinguishes it from other religions, and that is that in addition to there being no God concept, that perhaps because of that, it's been kind of co-opted. by popular culture. Yeah, and now compared to when I first started meditating 25 plus years ago, now meditation is offered everywhere, right? You can, in the workplace, there are programs, K through 12 education. There are all these books and videos and apps. You can do guided meditation. And that's kind of wonderful that it's become more mainstream because there are benefits, real benefits that come from it. Like, short of enlightenment, there's feeling a greater sense of calm, less stress. We can all use that. Lowering your blood pressure. So there are health benefits, improving the quality of your everyday life, feeling more gratitude, more joy for what's here, for what's right in front of you on a day-to-day basis, being more attentive to others. That's a huge benefit. And that's actually the ultimate teaching in Zen. When the Buddha, had this experience, what does he do next? He goes into the marketplace, back into the world, with open hands. How can I be of service? Right? And unless the mind is still and present, we might not really notice what's needed, what's called for, how we can help, because we're too caught up here. So on the one hand, doing seated meditation, sitting silent and in stillness for any amount of time. On the one hand, on the outside, it looks like maybe that's an escape from the world. It's actually just the opposite, because in taking that time, it helps you to be in the world and of the world, which you are. You just don't realize it. Yeah. Yes.
That's similar to our Shabbat. It's like a timeout
Uh-huh.
concept that we've shared,
Mm-hmm.
so that re-entry, can, be in a more grounded place or open place or whatever place you're searching for, but it sounds like those are similar in concept.
Yeah, and Zen Buddhism in general doesn't like own meditation. Meditation is part of many religious traditions, mysticism. There are mystical traditions. Is it the Kabbalah? Same thing in Christianity, too. There's a wonderful quote from a Christian mystic, Meister Eckhart. He said, the same eye through which God sees me is the same eye which I see him. Right, and that gets at this oneness, and there being no inside or outside. It's all the same one. Another quote I really like is Walt Whitman. He said, I am large, I contain multitudes. That gets at this sense of oneness, but also difference. Yeah. I would like to show you how to meditate if you're interested, and have us do it for a short amount of time. You interested? Let's give it a try. Okay. That's why I brought this bell here. And let's see, we're gonna do it in a chair. Maybe, hopefully the owl will follow me.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. I want to show you here how to do it. You just do it in your chair. You can sit cross-legged, kneeling. There are all these different postures. We have monthly workshops at our center, both in person and online, where we teach, get into more detail than I'm gonna get into about how to do this. And by the way, I should say, another difference, that I don't know if it's unique to Zen, but, you know, you don't have to reject your religion, convert, or have a religion at all to do Zen practice. At our center, we have members that are Jewish, Hindu, Catholic, agnostic, atheist, etc. Yeah, and perhaps it's because we don't have a God concept that is so it's really inclusive. Yeah, so if you are able to, don't have to do it this way, but to sit on your sit bones, so don't lean back. Because if you lean back, then it might fall asleep. So sit on your sit bones. Like this, and just put your hands, you know, your feet are just right in front of you, ankles below the knees. And just rest your hands like this, sit up straight, open, relaxed. Eyes open, we sit with the eyes open, because we're not shutting out the world. We're entering the world. There are other types of meditation where the eyes are closed, but we don't close our eyes. We just relax them, so they're kind of just focused downward, right? And what do you do with your mind when you're doing this? I invite you to just pay attention to your breath, to make breathing your point of focus. And what's going to happen is breathe normally, breathe naturally, but just you're going to have to keep returning your attention to the inhalation, the exhalation. There's a little space in between the two that's quite interesting. Get interested in your breath, okay? And what's going to happen is you're going to probably be bombarded with thoughts. They're going to be, this is what the brain does, right? Thoughts will be coming at you. Think of them as like clouds passing through in the sky. Just let them do their thing and don't engage with them. You know, so as soon as you notice you're caught up in a thought, return to the breath. Now, often with beginners, we'll have people count 1 to 10, like so counting the exhalations. But I'm going to treat you as like a little more advanced, and for not do any counting, just noticing the breath, noticing being a breathing being. We breathe all the time, and we're not even aware of it. We're so caught up in our head, we're not aware of our body. We talk in Zen of the body-mind. The body and mind are not two. They're deeply interconnected. And that's why when you're caught up in your head, you get tension in your body, right? It affects you physically, and vice versa, by the way. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking. And we're gonna sit. Let's see, how long you wanna do this? 5 minutes, 10 minutes? 5, okay, yeah, you're not ready for 10. Okay, and I'm gonna ring this bell 3 times. Just a reminder, just relax the face, relax everything, but feet upright. Eyes cast down, mouth relaxed, everything relaxed. Imagine like a rope attached to your head. There's openness to this posture. And I'm gonna ring, this is called an inking bell. I'm gonna ring it 3 times. And by the 3rd time, I want you to really settle in. And again, you have one job, and that is returning to the breath. Returning. Very simple.
by heart. And you can use the sound of the bell to kind of anchor you, by the way. Just breathing naturally.
What did you notice? Lots of thoughts? Did they settle after 5 minutes? Did. I kind of feel like the room is more settled, even just after sitting for 5 minutes. It's amazing. Just 5 minutes. You know, if you want to take up meditation as a practice, whether it's Zen or just generic meditation, anyone can do it. Even just doing 5 minutes a day, right? Great way to start in the morning before you get busy. Great way to end the day too. A lot of people find they sleep better, or more fall asleep more readily after it. And just to connect with who we are, the breath, the heart. So important, so needed in our world. Yeah. It's really the most radical thing you can do, actually, is to sit still and in silence in our culture, right? It's hard. Did any of you feel a little antsy? Hard to stay. Yeah, yeah. Because that's just how we're conditioned, right? If you were to do this on your own, or with us at the Zen Center for that matter, if you were to make it part of your life and you did it every day, it'll settle. Like you'll become less fidgety. It just does that all on its own. But it makes a difference to do it regularly as opposed to sporadically, like, oh, once a month, or, when I think of it. Yeah, there may be some benefit out of that, but when it's like every day part of your life, that's when you really can experience it being transformational. Yeah. Questions? Yeah.
I'm curious about two things. One, you. I'm assuming you were not raised in Zen Buddhism.
No.
How did you come to this?
That's a good question. I was raised Roman Catholic, on Staten Island, originally from New York City, and Forgotten Borough.
You don't sound like Staten Island.
Oh, I wash the car.
Yeah.
I walk the dog. I can do that. I've lived in different places since, but I can totally go back there. Yeah, it seems like I stumbled into it, like it happened accidentally, but if I were to look back, I could, connect the dots. I had a pretty powerful experience when I was 12 years old. I went to summer camp, and this was in the Catskills. And it was a camp, it's like a nature, ecologically themed camp for city kids. And we would do, curious things, like we learned wilderness survival skills. I mean, we swam, we hiked. I remember eating tree bark. They told us to taste the bark. So it was like connecting with nature theme. And one of the activities that we had to do was dig a hole in the ground. Everyone was handed a shovel, and we were told to stick our head in it and recite Om. And of course, I'm 12 years old. I'm like, yeah, gross, ew. But I did it. So imagine this hole in the ground. I stick my head in it, and I was like transported to another universe. Like I just was overtaken by the smell of the earth. And what was once revulsion, like, ew, I don't want to do that, rejection. Suddenly I got interested in it. And it made me realize what I was missing out on in my life sheerly out of rejection, like out of the thought, like, yeah, that's gross, you know. And that's how it is for a lot of us. There are other experiences I had. I think experiences in nature, many people have had, where you feel a sense of quiet when you're in the woods. Yeah, that's a pretty common experience. I went to graduate school. When I was in graduate school, I experimented with psychedelics. Not excessively, but now it's like a thing, apparently. It's being used, it's being researched. But that too, in that experience, I was doing it with philosophy students, and it wasn't partying, it was like exploring mind. Um, and yeah, you know, experienced the world differently. Um, and then, yeah, one day I moved up here, I had a teaching job at Brockport and was living in Brockport. I used to go to this vegetarian cafe there. I've long been a vegetarian before I became Buddhist. Many Buddhists are vegetarian, not all, though. And just chatting, and she told me about the Zen Center. I'd never heard of it before. I didn't even know what Zen is. And I did a workshop, and the next thing you know, yeah, here I am. It's mysterious, you know, it just kind of happened. I never like rejected the religion I grew up with, but I don't really identify with it.
Where is the Zen Center?
Arnold Park, you know, the East Avenue, Goodman Street intersection. Strathallan Hotel is there, the Museum and Science Center. Arnold Park is a little one-way street that you access from East Avenue. The Zen Center is two buildings that are side by side. We have a wonderful garden in the back. If you ever in the area, stop by. Have you been? Yeah, it's a little secret. It's a beautiful garden there. And yeah, like I said, if you're interested in trying it out, our workshops are roughly once a month on a Saturday. They go from 9 to 12. And it focuses on learning how to meditate and then doing it together, right? And then you also get to see the place.
You mentioned you're a vegetarian.
Yeah,
Does the circle include animals and nature?
yeah, all things, all beings.
So why did you stop at just being a vegetarian and go all the way and be a vegan?
I am quasi-vegan, I'll say. Flexible vegetarian.
Right.
I travel a lot, and I used to be vegan actually for a period of time, but yeah, middle way. I do the best I can.
You all do.
Yeah, yeah, and just a way of example of not of being one with things as they are, right, and not shutting out the world. When years ago I traveled to China, and I was served elaborate like seafood and things like that, and I ate it because it's what was given to me.
Without making it personal, but how about others and Buddhists in general?
Yeah, yeah.
Is veganism considered an appropriate middle way for everybody?
Veganism?
Yeah.
What would be the two extremes between veganism? Meat eating and not eating at all, or eating bark? You know, we don't prescribe what to eat. The founder of the Zen Center, Philip Kaplow, he
It's
has
not really a eating thing.
right.
It's a caring for
Yeah.
our world.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is what he said. Don't give up meat, let meat give you up. Because if you force it, right? If you do anything really in a rigid kind of way, you're setting yourself up for failure. At least that was how it was for me because of the traveling that I do. So, we're not here to judge you by what you eat or what you do. Yeah. You're still whole and complete. We all just do the best that we can, but I do believe in doing meditation. It does open you up, opens your heart more. Yeah, and you do, are more, we come naturally without even trying, more caring for all beings.
I came in late, so excuse me.
That's okay.
Find it, but what is?
Oh, it's called a rock suit. It's a very, if you go to any Zen center, you'll see people wearing these. I was saying earlier, I don't wear it in public. It's a abbreviated monk's robe. It has symbolic expression. It's like wearing one's commitment. I wear it for formal sittings and ceremonies, and also for, an event like this where I'm presenting. Yeah, there's more to it, but
Yeah, when we were in China, we went to Buddhist temples, people looked like they were worshiping Buddha as if he was a god. And bowing and doing all sorts of rituals and singing sequence.
yeah. So there is this devotional side, and Buddhism looks differently depending on the culture that it's in. And even though at our Zen center, what we got came most immediately from Japan, because the founder, Philip Kapleau, spent 13 years in monastic training in Japan. By the way he ended up doing that is he was a court reporter for the Nuremberg trials, and then also for the International Tribunal in Japan. That's how he landed in Japan. And yeah, another example of it just happened. Yeah. So it looks differently in different places, different cultures. But when you see people doing prostrations, like, I'll do one right now. We do prostrations at our center. I'm not worshiping anybody, but it's a bodily way of dropping the ego, letting go of the self. Yeah, and we bow to each other too. It looks different in different places. Yeah.
Also, Tibetan Buddhism, the territorial aspects, I mean, they seem to be territorial. In fact, I read the book, The Jew and the Lotus. It was about a discussion where the Dalai Lama wanted to know, how does a religion based on territory deal with not losing their territory, because as Jews have historically, he wanted advice about how do you maintain the continuity of your religion without going across the territory.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll help you give it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, wherever you are, that's where you are. That's where, that's what it comes down to. I mean, Tibetan's Buddhism is different from Zen, and I don't know a whole lot about it, but yeah, from my own experience, all there is this right now. This is where we are. This is the only thing we can count on right now. None of us knows if the next breath is going to be our last breath. None of us knows that. And so when you're eating a bagel, just eat that bagel. Enjoy it.
In the late 60s and early 70s, when I was in college and grad school, I was well aware of this movement called the Jubus.
Yes.
Does that still exist? Are there still Jubus?
What
Jews who became Buddhists?
Oh, for sure. Like at our Zen center, we do have a number of people. We have a lot of members that are Jewish, and They call themselves Jubus, yeah. Yeah, and a lot of them, they date back to the late sixties. Our center was founded in 1966. This is our 60th anniversary year. So yeah, late sixties, early 70s, counterculture movement. Yeah.
Well, it sounded like there wasn't a conflict between being religious and being Buddhist or Zen Buddhist. Are you still a practicing Catholic?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
So why not?
I'm not drawn to it. I never got to a point where I like found myself rejecting Catholicism. When I go into a church, I don't have a problem being there. It just doesn't speak to me. And this does. That's all I can say.
Right.
When I first moved to Rochester, which was 1971, I had a friend who was going to the Zen Center, and she used to cover all her mirrors. Is that something, or are you supposed to look in the mirror, or are you not supposed to care about your dress, or is that part of it?
Interesting question. So in case you didn't hear, it's a question about she knew someone that covered her mirrors. So there is this is an experiment you could do on your own, covering the mirror in your bathroom, and not getting, in our culture, we pretty fixated on appearance, right? And it's freeing to not be focused on one's appearance. When we do retreats, our Zen Center has a retreat facility just outside of Batavia, which is my primary residence. That's where I live. It's called Chapin Mill Retreat Center. And when we have our retreats, we cover the mirrors. Because when we go into take a deep dive into meditation, anything we can do to not generate thought activity, like looking at oneself in the mirror, is going to help settle the mind. So you could see it in a practical way. Yeah, it's not like a religious thing or
Two things.
Yeah.
Some people, when they're sitting Shiva, cover their mirrors. And some people don't. The other thing is, in 2002, I did yoga at the Zen Center.
Yeah, open
And,
sky.
with what was his name?
Swat.
Yes.
I used to go there too.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
We all wore the same costume and had mats and the Buddha was way, at the end of the hall, but it was wonderful.
There's a wonderful story about that Buddha figure.
Yeah.
That came from Mexico.
Oh.
I don't know if you want to hear it. Okay, sure. So Philip Kaplow, I told you that our center is one of the oldest in the country, second oldest to San Francisco. And Philip Kaplow traveled all over the place to lead workshops. He published a number of books, one called The Three Pillars of Zen, which was the first book of its kind to be published in English, and it got translated into all these other languages, that presented Zen as a practice, not as a belief system, but a practice, a doing, meditation. Anyway, he traveled all over the place, and one of the places he went to was Mexico City. And there we did have and still have a sister, we call the word for community is Sangha. So we have a sister Sangha in Mexico. I'm actually now the leader of it. I go there twice a year and lead 7-day retreats there at a place about 2 hours south of Mexico City. Anyhow, when he was there in the city, somebody told him about this Buddha figure that was in a bar. And it was in the president, it's called the Presidencial Hotel, and a hotel bar. So he wanted to go check it out. And so imagine a bar scene, all these people hanging out, probably at the time smoking and drinking. He walks in, he sees this giant Buddha figure. This is a big figure, right? It's tall. And he sees it, he walks right in and does a prostration, just like what I just demonstrated. And then he negotiated with the bar owner. The people were using the hand of the figure to put out their cigarettes, because the hand was like this. So, and you can still see the blackened mark on the palm from that. So he negotiated with this bar owner and acquired it. Who knows how it got to Mexico to begin with, but yeah, it got packaged up and mailed to Rochester, where it still is. Yeah.
I was just gonna share, so I read Siddhartha twice, once maybe like high school, and once I was dating a very sweet carpenter who was a Tibetan monk, very sweet man from Maine. And he's still a very sweet man from Maine who was a Tibetan monk, but in Vermont now. But anyway, it's so interesting to me how the story of this royal, young, like dashing prince, kind of fill in the blank, sitting under a tree. I always heard that story, read that story, took in that story in that way that we do, like this is, like a celebrity kind of aura. Same with like, Che Guevara or Jesus or, other figures where we hear about. And at this age, hearing this story, or maybe just the very grounded way you said it, it just resonates in a totally different way. It's like, oh, that makes sense. Like a man in his 20s or a woman in her 20s or anybody in their 20s who suddenly is realizing, oh, the way I was raised isn't the only way.
Yeah.
My college can be so revelatory, like, oh, wow, let me experiment.
Yeah.
Let me delve into the total opposite of, what my anchor might be.
Yeah.
Like it just resonates in this very human way, which makes me like it even more, because I think whenever we put people on these pedestals, it may even, politically, when we look for one person to be some sort of savior, as if they have special skills, instead of realizing like, we are that person, we all have something. So I just love, there was something about your presentation today that I was like, oh, right, of course, someone in their 20s is like, my parents don't know everything, I'm gonna go and, figure out other things. And it's just very real. So thank you.
On the one hand, it's legendary, right? There's all, and we can put all this stuff and make it a really good story. But actually, it's a very human story of confronting our own impermanence, which all of us deal with, right? Sooner or later, we lose a loved one, right? A pet. We can't escape it. And that's what it's a story about. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So much. And then we're doing at 11 is our art project for the Beyond the Bagel, and we'll be doing collages on Thursday. You do not need any artistic skill, because I did this before. You do not need artistic skill. Nancy has the artistic skill. So we'll be right on the other side of that.
Okay.
Thank you, folks online, Dick and Bob.
Thank you.
Sounds like so fun.
There are new cards that I have from the gallery.
I'll be selling.
I just heard them, so I thought.
So
I might wanna go peek.
Yeah, I'll find where Nancy is. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Sure. You might wanna get a better picture of it.
Right in front of the green, that's why.
Do whatever you want.
One more short question. Is there a connection between, I always think I hear it between the Zen Center here and one in Santa Fe? Did the group break off or something?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. At one point, Caplo, he was getting sick of the cold
Oh,
weather
okay.
here and had this idea of moving everybody to Santa Fe. And then something fell through with that. And, but some people had already moved there.
Oh, okay.
So, and decided they liked it there.
So they
they're
started
gonna
their
stay
own?
there. Yeah.
So is it a Sangha too, or just
Yes.
its own thing?
Yes.
And is there something in Springwater, or is that the?
So that's another little splinter. So her name is Tony Packer. She
Right,
farms
yeah.
water. And it's beautiful. Caplo actually put her in charge of the Zen Center, you know, for his successor.
Oh, and then she
Which
broke
was
off?
pretty cool. But then she had a change in heart, like she wanted to strip away all the Buddhistic, devotional and Buddhistic elements to it. Yeah, and that's what she was drawn to do.
Oh,
And so
okay.
she left and formed Springwater.
I think I
Yeah.
visited it once,
Yeah.
and I knew Ralph Chapin. Yes, yeah, we used to go, I had friends that, their parents lived in Batavia, they were very good friends with Ralph. And probably through the eighties, I first met the late seventies and eighties, I first met this friend in 75, we both went to Visual Studies Workshop. And he had these wonderful little sampan boats that he'd go out on the water, and a rope that you could swing to go swimming, and I used to take my friends there all the time.
If you ever want to visit,
Yeah.
you know,